How are you guys doing today? Today, I want to talk about a very, very juicy topic. I've talked about it before on but I want to go into more depth and you'll explain why. Now, what I want to talk about is never paying a debt collector because once the debt is sold, it is no longer your account. Is that true? Is it not true? What is the information out there that I can give you guys with concerning that? And then my opinion concerning that matter. So stay tuned. My name is Jay, and welcome to Ask a Debt Collector, a subsidiary of Clear and Strategic. Now, I've been in the debt collection industry for over 15 years. I've done it all, from management to owning 2 debt collection companies. Over the last 10 years, I've been the go-to guy for friends and family for questions regarding debt and credit. Now I want to be that person for you. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. I promise I'll answer those questions. Let's go. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go right into the video so I don't lose you guys, right? So check this out. His name is James, so I'm going to explain exactly what it was that he said, and then I'll give you some context towards this. So let's listen.
When you don't pay the debt collectors, which, by the way, to the audience, you should never pay a debt collector because the debt doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the debt collector. Let me explain this to you. If I owe Amex $1,000 and I say I refuse to pay you, right? And they sell my debt to ABC Debt Collections Company, LLC. The debt doesn't belong to James Chang anymore. The debt belongs to ABC Debt Collectors. Why should I pay a debt that doesn't even belong to me anymore? Most people get scared because debt collectors, if you don't pay, we're going to garnish your way. They get scared. No, it's against the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. You don't have to pay debt collectors.
Oh, wow.
So as you can see, this was the content that I wanted to talk about. Now, there's a story behind it, and that's why I want to explain it to you guys. So I ended up getting a call on the coaching side of things. So for those of you who don't know, I do credit repair coaching with regards to like businesses and so forth. If you have a credit repair business, you need some help with regards to that, you can sign up down below for a coaching session with me. It's one-on-one, whether it's that or if it's cleaning up your credit, but you want a more of a hands-on approach. I have that. So I had somebody sign up for that consultation. Do I want to give her name? I probably won't. I won't give her name. But it was a woman. She called me, and during the consultation, she basically told me that she did a reaction video on Facebook and Instagram, where basically she showed that video. She had herself in another frame, similar to what I did, and she just basically, shook her head yes and was like pointing at it. That video went viral on Facebook and Instagram for her. And she started getting an overload of calls and messages and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it got like a million views or something. And she has a smaller platform. I think she has an Instagram with about 6,000 or 7,000 followers that came from that viral video. But nevertheless, as far as her knowledge goes when it came to credit repair at the time when she called me, which was last week, she didn't have much knowledge. Good. So she called me because she wanted to possibly do a video with a professional, who she considered myself a professional, so I thanked her for that, explaining what that video meant, if there's any truth to it, any non-truth to it. We were supposed to set up something, and for whatever reason, maybe it fell through, maybe it didn't go through, maybe we'll still do the video. But nevertheless, after seeing that video, I wanted to do a reaction video on it, right? I wanted to explain to you guys the situation, the circumstance with regards to it, the laws concerning it, obviously, because I've been on both sides. Now I'm on the credit repair side, but as you guys know, I've been in the debt collection industry for 15 years. And this is something that's been going around for some time now with regards to it. So let's go to the reaction. Let me explain to you what my opinion is concerning paying or not paying an account like this. So let's address the first thing that he said in this video.
When you don't pay the debt collectors, which, by the way, to the audience, you should never pay a debt collector because the debt doesn't belong to you.
Okay, so the first thing he said was you should never pay a debt collector. Is that true? The reality is no, that's not true, right? With regards to debt in general. If you had an account like he expressed, it was, I think he said American Express credit card, you owed $1,000. You told American Express you refused to pay, right? So for whatever reason, maybe you're going through some financial hardship or whatnot, you call them up and you tell them you can't pay. They take the account. They probably are going to wait 3 to 6 months before actually charging the debt off and selling it to a debt collection agency. if that account is in fact sold to a debt collection agency. According to James, he's saying that you don't have to pay it. Now, I want to just show you something that you can quickly find just from a Google search. The first thing is this. Do I have to pay a debt if it's been sold? This is a big thing that a lot of people say, oh, it was sold, so now it's no longer my debt. I didn't authorize them to sell it, so I therefore no longer owe them the debt. Right here, Google search right off the bat. It says, once your debt has been sold, you owe the buyer money, not the original creditor. What that basically means is if your debt through American Express was sold to a debt collection company, but you knew you owed it and you called American Express to actually pay it, by law, they can't even take your money, right? They will actually give you the number to the ABC debt collection agency that you actually have to pay. It goes on to say, you keep all the same legal rights. They cannot add interest or charges unless they are in the term of your original credit agreement. You owe it, it's yours. Whether it goes to a debt collection company, the reality is they buy pennies on the dollar. I used to buy debt, pennies on the dollar. Sometimes a half a penny on the dollar, depending on the age of the debt and the type of debt, in fact, that it is. But you as a consumer, as it states here, you owe the buyer the money. And I want to even go a little further with regards to this. I want you to understand something. If you were trying to apply for a car and you had a collection account on your credit report, depending on what your FICO score is and so forth, it can hinder you from getting approved for a car. It can hinder you from getting approved for a home. If you're never supposed to pay a debt collector, and that's illegal, why is it that when you're trying to buy a home and the underwriter goes through all your information with regards to pulling a copy of your credit, if they see collection accounts, not charge-off accounts, collection accounts that are showing that you owe, they'll tell you to take care of it. So they say you have to pay the debt. And then I want to go a little further with the Google search. One of the things I looked at is with unpaid debt. Unpaid debt doesn't go away until debt is either paid or forgiven. You still owe the money. So when they say paid, that doesn't necessarily mean paid in full. If you settle out, whatnot, that works. Or if it's forgiven. The main reason why your debt will be forgiven is due to the mere fact of the 7-year statute of limitation with regards to the debt. It can come off of your credit report, or if some government entity or a judge forgives you. But you as a consumer, just because your account goes to collections, does not mean you do not owe that debt and you don't have to pay it. It all depends on what it is that you're trying to do, right? Now, there are cases where you don't have to pay it, which sometimes I think gets lost in the minutia of those headlines, never pay a debt collector, is if you hire a credit repair company, right? Now, one of the things we do is factual disputing. We look for inaccuracy. So even though you owe that debt, through factual disputing, we can find inaccuracies, send a special letter, and get that account deleted off of your credit profile. But one of the things you have to understand is it's a process of elimination and timing with regards to it. So when I send a dispute because, let's say, your American Express credit card, there was some inaccuracies, I send the letter, technically they have 30 days to either update it or delete it. And so that's the time clock that you're messing with. The creditor has the 30 days to update and fix the problem, or the account is supposed to be deleted off of your credit profile. And so typically every account has 3 to 7 different violations. And so it's a time frame with regards to sending out the letters, hoping they miss that time span. Because if they miss the 30 days, it has to come off your credit report and they can't place it back on. Now, if the debt is sold to another collection agency, they have a right to place it back on your credit. Now, there's a reinsertion letter that they have to send to you, as well as that other creditor has to send you a demand letter and give you 30 days before placing it on your credit. But you have to pay your debt in general unless you hire a credit repair agency or you do it on your own through factual disputing. You file a Chapter 7 or a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Well, Chapter 7, you don't have to pay it at all. Chapter 13, you may have to pay like a monthly fee for a certain amount of time, 2 to 6 years, depending on how much debt you have. But those are two ways. If you really want to try and get out of debt, you can file Chapter 7 bankruptcy. But just to think, oh, I have an account with original creditor. I defaulted, I didn't pay. They charged it off and sold it to a debt collection agency. And now because that happened, mysteriously, I do not owe, is foolish. Because those companies can sue you, right? I've done it. I worked at a debt collection company where all we did was file suit. If we found an asset or we found a place of employment, that account was sued on. And in the state of California, obviously that's where I'm from, your wages can be garnished, right? They can do a bank levy. What is a bank levy? That's where, if they know where your bank account is, depending on how much debt they have, if they had a debt for 20 grand and in your bank account there was $20,000, I don't care what that money was for. If they get a bank levy after that judgment is granted, they can levy all that money out of your account. I've seen it happen all the time. For those of you who work 9 to 5 or have money in a bank account. Now, let's go even further for entrepreneurs. There's a thing called a tilt tap, right? I had a guy who owned a barbershop. I've talked about this before. And he basically said he wasn't going to pay. And you know what happened? We got a tilt tap where basically a sheriff went into his place of business and all the money that was made on that day was collected by that sheriff and given to the company that I work for at that time span. That's called a tilt tap. And the reality is, in that story, if you guys wanted to know, after about maybe 5 minutes of him being inside of his place of business and he knew what it was for, he called me right up and he took care of the balance. Unfortunately, I tried to hit him up about almost 3 weeks ago and give him a settlement. He told me to kick rocks. He don't work a 9 to 5, da-da-da-da-da. But a tilt tap is something else that can happen with regards to that. So you have a bank levy, you have a tilt tap, and then for those of you who work a 9 to 5 where you're actually getting taxes coming out, they can garnish your wages. So don't listen to a lot of this advice because it's going to hurt you in the long run if you're dealing with a creditor or a collection agency that's going to look at trying to get their funds from you involuntarily if you're not going to do it voluntarily. What is my advice with regards to when it comes to debt? Ultimately, I would say either DIY or hire a credit repair agency. If you're looking for one, down below is a 20-minute free consultation. You can do that. Then you can get rid of inaccurate accounts. Not all of your accounts are going to be deleted. That's just the reality of it for a majority of the people. Now, I have had clients where we've gotten all of them deleted, but there are cases where they're not going to get deleted. Then comes the negotiation aspect of stuff. During credit repair, that does not stop you from being sued. So if you had a collection account where you start disputing accounts, there's still a possibility if the collection agency has an in-house attorney or one that they outsource and your account falls under the statute of limitation with regards to being sued, it's a lot different than the 7-year statute of limitations where the account comes off of your credit. Remember, credit repair is just not another bill. It's a down payment on your future. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. I promise I'll answer those questions. And as I always state, you be great.